Hey people, so today I'm doing a small intermediary um, hobby tutorial, no kit bash tutorial, no painting tutorial. I just want to show you how I make some of my recent bases that I use for my Imperial Fists and my Adeptus Sororitas. For that I have made myself a silicone mold of one of the old Sector Imperialis floor tiles, so that I can pour in a small amount of resin so I get these flat tile plates. As the resin is super white and reflective, I hope this won't be too bad to look at in this video. I will also put a link to the two component silicone down below the video, and if I find it again, to the resin too. So you might have noticed that I always use these wooden cubes. They are 35 millimeters in square, so 32 Games Workshop base fits pretty well, and I usually use putter fix or blue tack to get the base fixed properly, or sometimes I use double-sided tape. Super glue is a must if you work with resin. You might want to wear gloves and don't breathe in the stuff too much when you sand it. So, what I want to do is at first get a part of resin that fits loosely onto the base, and I will try to make it thus that the foot of this Primaris Marine rests on the base again. So if he sits somewhere over here, I only want to cover the front, so I need roughly 3 to 4 tiles to cover that. If I now just scratch the surface of that, I should be able to break it off. Something like that. So I want to go to the front and to the side so that it will build a nice rim of the base. Something like that. Okay, here comes 2 tricks how to fix these properly to the base. You'll need a file for that, or sanding paper, rather rough one, and for once you will file or sand down the top of the base, but try to do it in a way that the small plastic particles stay on the base. Okay? Doing the same with the resin, getting it a bit rough, and you might see it or might not that also some particles from the file go onto the resin. This will help fill some gaps, and will it make bond much better than if you go without it, or go flat on the base. Was a little too much super glue on my part. It's a real cheap $1 thing, so it's not easy to have it. To have it behave like you want. Sometimes there comes nothing out of it, sometimes it just squirts. So the super glue only will dry if there's no air beneath it, so I'll take another of my cubes and just add a bit of pressure for a few seconds. And just to be safe, I will let this dry another minute, so that in the next step I won't glue my fingers accidentally onto the base. So stay tuned. See you in a second. Okay, this stuff should be dry now. What I do is just cut away everything that stands out with my clippers, but I'll try to leave a bit going over the rim, and it seems that some of the glue still isn't dry. That's when you use cheap materials. So I'll have to give this another time before I can cut away with my knife. Okay, now the super glue is dried sufficiently, and I can just cut away what stands out over the rim of the base. I should have tried to get it a bit more aligned to this part here, but I can fill that later with Grell on Earth or some other texture paint, whatever you like. Again, when handling the knife, have a look on security. I can't push it too much how good a size 12 blade is and how I'll have to use it. When cutting the rim, I only use my hand against my thumb, and I'm totally secure over here because I can't cut into my finger. I would have to hold the knife like that. So, and even then, if I would push too hard, and the resin would give, the muscles of my hand won't let the knife go further than that. So always keep that in mind when cutting stuff. So let's do that trick with sanding or filing the area we want to glue one more time. Now if you turn that one around to glue it on, all the stuff will fall off, so that's why we will logically put the glue onto this side not as much as before, because the surface is quite smooth. So we already bind the little plastic particles. And with that, it dries instantly. Could have been a bit more to the back of it, but I'm totally fine with that. Main thing is that the foot is sitting flat on the base again. Yeah, and I now fill some gaps and add some texture and height with green stuff usually, and then going when the thing is primed over all the areas with Martian Iron Earth at the moment, but I've used other Games Workshop texture paints, or I have used Vallejo texture paints as well. You could also just use super glue or PVA and glue some sand around it. Feel free to comment. I hope you like this small tutorial. Stay tuned. See you next time. Be excellent to each other.